Let's talk security, current affairs, governance, politics, your view, elections, rule of law, economic issues, foreign events on the Talking Point. Talking Point, weekdays on this channel.
Recently, there's been a wave of leakage of security documents, not just security documents, certain sensitive documents, especially official documents, documents from the quarters of government, especially from the federal and some at the state. And one has been asking questions. How do these documents come out? Who are the persons leaking out this document? Remember the Betta Edu Gate and how documents emerged, even to the point of we seeing how much was, appropriated for travels and whatnot. It takes us to the question of the civil service rule. Of course, it's a very, very integral part that some of the secrets, as part of the terms of engagement, cannot be disclosed, cannot be in public space. But as I rightly said, we've seen a wave of security, official documents, especially from the civil service, revealed. It has now taken us to a conversation which we'll be having today, which borders on this issue of civil service, official documents. We were trying to make sense of it so that we understand how classified documents can be managed and which category of classified documents should be managed. Welcome to Talking Point for today. My name is Ikechukwu Jue. As I did say, we'll be looking at managing classified information, classified documents, if you like, especially when it comes to the protection of, sensitive information that threatens our national unity and cohesion. Joining me to make sense of this conversation is the convener of the Open Forum Humanity Care Initiative. I'm talking about Citizen Matthew Kofi Okono. It's great to have you.
It's good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, and the reason we are discussing this, Citizen, is because, as I rightly did say, we've seen a wave of leakages lately. We've seen some documents leaked out, and quite recently was this issue of the committee that was supposed to sit and discuss the issue of the minimum wage and whatnot. And we saw documents of how much they were demanding, and even to the point of 500 million. And then during the Betta Gate, you saw how documents littered the social media space, revealing some of these things. In your understanding, what do you understand by classified documents? And which category of documents should be classified and which one should be in public space, before we now talk of this wave of, revealing of classified documents?
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's quite an interesting topic, and it is timely because of the current developments, like you've just mentioned, two of the instances. The classified documents, naturally, if you are in government or you have ever been in government, even in the private sector,
there are classified documents.
There are documents that are classified, and those not classified, you can very easily see them on notice boards in private
memos.
Yeah, go to the state or federal secretariats. They have notice boards where some documents are posted there, and they are even appealed to help publicize them. And some of them you see it on social media, you see them in newspapers, in magazines, on radio, and there are others that are considered classified. In fact, the files that contain them are marked top secret. But that does not preclude the fact that the content can be available to members of the public who have the right or the need to know. In fact, some of the documents in government offices are supposed to be known by a certain class of persons, even within government itself. But there are others, by virtue that they have to pass from one table to the other, and they become matters of interest, and that will give us another angle to the conversation completely, because if you have an official secret that could be injurious to the people, could be injurious to even the administration itself, it is incumbent upon those that have access to it to do something privately for such documents to be corrected properly, or when the worst comes to the worst, it now gets leaked to the public for public intervention, because in the civil service, there are people who are only meant to be seen and not heard. You don't talk about what you see. You attend a meeting, you don't have a say at the meeting, though you are privileged to be there. You don't have contribution to make. Even if you are the one taking down minutes of the meeting as a writer or as a member of the secretariat, you don't have a say. But when you discover that the issues that have been discussed and decisions taken upon and to be acted upon may be injurious, or are certainly going to be injurious to public good, it becomes patriotism for such informations to be let out by whatever means. Two, and very importantly, one of the acts that was came into being under the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan was the Freedom of Information Act, FOI Act,
which you can use
in
to get information.
2011, yes. That was a revolutionary act which made government information, including what we call classified information,
accessible
to whoever makes a written request.
Using the FOI.
Quoting the FOI, which has a timeline. I think, was it 14 days or thereabout? Between 14 or 21 days, you are entitled
not more than 21 days.
Yes, to be given the information sought. And if you are not given, you have the right to go to court to demand that very organization to oblige you with the information. So some of the things that we may call classified information, which may never be public, it's only the gullible people who are not informed enough that could wonder, those things can never be known. They can be known. And worst of it all is that some of the things that are called classified are not even supposed to be classified. There is absolutely nothing wrong that you sign a contract, for example, for a road construction, and you refuse to mention the amount. The distance covered are supposed to be part of the public information. But in our current dispensation, in our current, especially maybe at state levels, because federal governments, often they mention how much a road contract has been awarded, even though sometimes very ridiculous, ridiculous amount as in very low, as in, okay, a road that is supposed to cost about, for instance, 500 billion, the award at less than 100 billion, and release maybe 10-20% of that, which will be impossible to do anything. Example is the Calabar to highway in Akwa Ibom State. Yeah. So there are supposed to be no secret about things like that. But because of some persons who want to hide behind the Official Secrecy Act, which I think at the federal level is the Official Secrecy Act is what we call the section is 030401 and 030402, where you have sworn on oath to maintain official secret. But you cannot blame these persons, because most of the time there are private eyes who are following up issues, and some of these things that you see leak are not even from the civil servants. They are not the ones that put it on social media. People have access to it by whatever means for public interest.
But is it not, citizen, as we talk about managing classified information, is it not against the rules of engagement? I mean, because like when you come into a place, they read you the rules of engagement.
Absolutely.
You talked about the official
Secrecy
Act, which is one of those things with the civil service.
It's an oath. Actually.
It's an oath,
Yeah.
you know, and let us say that you accept to abide by the rules, and secret documents, secret informations from a particular ministry is being revealed. Is it not a betrayal of what you swore to abide?
It is
Irrespective of the good. Some will say for the good, greater good, or the other good. Irrespective of the good. Is it not a betrayal?
It's something that we cannot have a yes and no answer. I had earlier said that there are some things that go on, and you know that this is not for public good. And where you are completely handicapped to do something about it on your own, you may seek help. And in seeking help, that will involve that thing being in public domain. And come to think of it, who are the real owners of this secret? It is the people. Public servants, political office holders are accountable to the citizens. So if you are hiding some very serious and damning things that will be injurious to citizens who are the real leaders, and you expect that anybody and everybody must be able to hide this evil, some that are clearly evil, you wouldn't blame when the thing comes to public domain. But there are some of this...
Citizen, I may have to interject you.
Yes.
And the reason I'm interjecting you is because I need a proper understanding of what you call evil. Because the truth is, in every establishment, it's not every document that has to be in the public domain.
Absolutely.
So what do you consider evil? I need you to expatiate on that so we can get a clear understanding.
I watched a video today. What's today's date? Today is 12th. I watched a video, a TikTok video by Kemi Olunloyo. She's
an investigative journalist.
She's an investigative journalist.
Self-acclaimed though.
No, she is. She is. The kind of things she does, there are few people in our class. She may not be 100%, but like the one I just watched, having to do with the fact that some persons from a particular part of the country have been hacking into the database of CBN and stealing dollars to sell. And she said it with every amount of audacity that the CBN authorities are aware. They have been aware. And that he challenges anybody, the security operatives, to come for her. Because why? She has evidence. The thing was done as a teamwork. They uncovered this. Now, if truly some persons hacked in, like what Hush People used to do, you hack into the website of a team. You move monies, big time monies, transfer the monies, trade with it, launder it, and do whatever. And then the authorities know about it. They don't make it public. And you can be sure that memos must have been done in the course of discovering this, and in covering it up, definitely memos were made. And it became a secret until we are now in a mess where even the foreign remittances that runs into tens of billions of dollars, they are not there. The foreign remittances by our people, Nigerians in diaspora, is in tens of billions of dollars. And Nigeria is trading crude, selling crude till the next 10, 20, God knows how many number of years to get few dollars now, which we are not even sure what it is to be used for. People have such information and they kept quiet. The whole country and the world is paying for it. So when you are looking at what is official secret, how injurious is it to collective good? I tell you, you'll be a patriot if you're able to raise alarm. that something is going on here which is not right, even if you are in the system, which is what has been lacking. Remember, the former CBN governor raised alarm. Sanusi, even though it was false to an extent, the amount he quoted to have been stolen, until the thing reduced to the point that it seemed as if, okay, it's not too much, but yes, some amounts were involved. He also raised alarm that there was round tripping going on in the CBN, selling dollars. People just sit down, you transfer here, this one makes it hundreds of millions, sometimes in billions, with just transfers. He said so, it's in public domain. Nobody cared because those in authority felt they could suppress such leaks. Now come to the very latest one, the Edu Gate, what we call Edu Gate, which Edu's own is just a minute fraction of the corruption in that sector. What does that get to be? That the former minister of humanitarian affairs had some deals that were classified, which people protected. Those that raised alarm were seen to be alarmist, but now EFCC is uncovering and they are recovering.
They've recovered about 30 billion.
30 billion. And then the head of an agency who said she had to move official money to a private account against the civil service rule.
Well, in her defense, she said she was trying to protect it to ensure that the minister does not touch it.
Good. So who do you blame now? Did she do the right thing? No. She didn't do the right thing because you have the superiors. If the minister has been tampering with monies, you report to somebody that is superior that I don't want to go to jail. Please, this is what is happening. So eventually, the leaks that came out were not from ordinary civil servants, but from the top hierarchy. Enough that the spokesperson of Beth Edu had to defend what was in public domain. They could not deny it. So if those revelations, those leaks, remember the greatest leak machine or human in charge of that is WikiLeaks. Remember,
WikiLeaks, I know. WikiLeaks is more
global.
International.
Yeah, good.
International.
Yes.
They do more of American, European.
No, he does that.
Documents.
He does that everywhere. He has done something about this country before. You remember Edward Snowden? Those are people that the kind of information...
Well, Snowden had to run away at some point. Though.
Yeah, anybody that is involved in becoming an institution that specializes in leaks, you need to be somewhere else. Like our young man here, Hundeyin has been running from one country to the other because the kind of investigations he does and information he has, the people responsible, if they sleep, they may have to take drugs to be able to sleep.
Yeah, but citizen, before you continue, managing classified information is not synonymous to Nigeria.
Absolutely.
We may call it movies. Some of the movies we even watch, you see, they say this is top secret, classified documents. These are documents
people
that
still
are
go for it.
very, very classified documents. Is it not commonsensical that whatever is considered classified, however injurious it may appear to be, is best kept secret? Because if it is leaked or let out in public space, it may cause more damage than good.
It depends on what you call more damage than good. If something is injurious to a people, listen, I've always said this. Government is accountable to the people.
You may not understand why I say that.
No, I understand.
Let me give you two instances.
Okay.
It must have been a hoax, it must have been a myth or whatever, this conversation about UFOs, the United States and UFOs. There are certain documents in that area considered classified. We've had the issue of genocide, especially when you need to launch an onslaught, especially in the area of insecurity.
Exactly.
Certain acts, which may be an atrocity in itself, you hear classified. I could go on and on with my examples.
There's an answer, immediate answer. The Freedom of Information Act allows government not to release some information, particularly having to do with security. So you can rightly say it is not a blanket, any information, no matter how classified, should be made public. No. There is a level of information that cannot be accessed, even with the use of the Freedom of Information Act. I can't exactly remember a particular aspect, but having to do with security. So we are talking about security. It's very sensitive. But if it is done, for instance, something that, some leaders are manipulated. A typical leader is a prisoner.
Oh, really?
I tell you.
What makes you say so?
No. For you to be, for instance, the governor, the chairman, that one can sit anywhere and drink. In fact, he even takes pleasure and becomes popular
in
sitting with people to drink and go anywhere. But His Excellency the Governor or Mr. President is shielded enough that if the person is not savvy, he wouldn't even be able to access the internet.
Social media.
Because typically some of them have 200 media aides. 200.
Who give them briefings?
Briefings, most of them propaganda. Fake things. They don't give the governor or the president the right information. So any president that's in tune with reality, I tell you, will be able to do so much. Why have I said so? The issue of insecurity. Remember when Mr. President gave directive to the then IG to relocate, was it to Borno?
That was it, yeah.
And by the time...
I think that was that IG that was from Nasarawa State.
Yes. By the time the worst...
Idris, I suppose.
I think so. Happened, and Mr. President was accosted. Mr. President, we are dying, we are keeping quiet here. He said, I gave directive to the IG to relocate to that place. I'm not aware that he did not relocate. Why? One, because of his nature, his style, and the people around him. Every word spoken by a leader is supposed to be acted upon by his aides. Even where he makes promises using the spur of the moment. It was not there part of the budget. It was not discussed at the Exco. But he has gone somewhere and seen something and made a pronouncement. His aides are supposed to come back and tell him, Your Excellency, you made this promise here, and it is time-bound. You may wish to consider or give approval for a memo to be raised on that. Oh, very good, go and do it. Or you just do it and bring and brief. And because these leaders are supposed to be on top of every matter everywhere. So you cannot bring one matter twice or thrice. Once you have opportunity, it's just there. And what you have done, he can go to sleep. But how many governors have aides whose passion is to help their leaders deliver? So you find the case of insecurity, that people are being killed, and you don't allow the real figure to be made public because it will cause uproar. If 100 people are killed,
you probably play down,
to 2030. Like what happened in Plateau State. Before you hear official figures in the region of 150, 180, 190, you can be sure that maybe 300 people were killed. We are talking about human beings, like you and I, and then the president is informed that the matter is under control, and they bring some other thing to distract him. And then you expect the victims in that area to keep quiet. No, there are things that must leak. I'm saying must. If you use the term leak, the right information must be in public domain. That is where civil societies have a very great role to play. That's where investigative journalists come into play. And you cannot talk about investigative journalism without mentioning the names of the first gurus in the business. Talking about the Daily Giwas of the News Watch, Dan Agbese and Haruna Mohammed. I think those were the three musketeers that bet what was called investigative journalism before TEL even joined. And like one of them who talked with me who was there, we saw what we were doing. He said, we didn't even do the kind of thing we were doing. Once we get one story, to investigate. The rest are just news. But that one story will sell the magazine worldwide. Why? Because it will help correct the system. So
I think it was referred to as the big story then.
Yes.
Like Tell.
Yes.
Newswatch. The big story.
The big story.
Yeah.
That is
I
the
used to
only
read
thing
it
you
then.
find on the front page. Other stories or news from there wouldn't be captured. Just one story. Maybe just a few paragraphs or a page or two. But it will mean a whole lot. Why? The issues they have brought forth will be able to reset the mentality of leaders that you are being watched. Why do we have corruption take the turn it has taken now? Why do we have national issues being turned into partisan political discussions? Because politicians have, over time, created that aura that once we are in power, you are either with us or you are against us. And that can only be sustained in a situation where people shy away from accessing information and making it public. So it does not matter how information that is of public interest is gotten, it is very important.
You suppose that the civil service rule in itself, especially that part of secrecy, has to some extent helped corruption in the civil service to fester.
Naturally, you know that there is no politician can steal money from the system
Without being aided.
without being aided by civil servants. And some civil servants are very powerful and very rich. They sponsor politicians, and over time, some of them transmute from civil service straight to political appointments. And if you are on ground, you will know that while they were there, this kind of thing they were doing. But that does not foreclose the fact that official secrecy is needed. Some informations are for people that have the right to know. And when you are interested in knowing, you now apply. And they know where they gave the information to. So if that information gets to public domain, they will know that that information came from, for instance, Citizen MKO of Open Forum. He applied and we gave it to him. And guess what? It's very difficult to even access information. There are a number of freedom of information applications that have not been honored. Why? Because those in authority know that the information being requested for, if they make it public as it is, they are in trouble. Because this is pure corruption. I tell you.
So you're saying through your analysis that some acts of corruptions are placed
Official.
under the, hold on, some acts of corruption are placed under the guise of classified information.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if they are made public, that will be a problem in itself?
It is a problem. It's difficult for them to come out public until an investigative journalist or group or an insider makes it public. For instance, when the memo that was raised to the Mr. President over the committee on minimum wage,
yes,
a 37-member committee, and people were very comfortable. It wasn't just an individual that did it. They must have called some directors. Let's have the budget. It's a budget. And they will now say, okay, what will it take for a 37-man committee to sit for, is it about a month? That committee is to sit for about a month. They will stay in Abuja. And the hotel bill is X amount. They will have vehicles for the secretariat. They will be secretariat. They will buy papers. Will buy printers, and then extra code. They will make about few trips, air tickets and all of that. I will say, how much is that? Whatever amount they came to, they now say, make it this. Make it this, make that budget like we have seen now, 1.8 billion.
But of course, the president was proactive enough to turn it back and cut it down.
Commendable. They not even cut it down. He must have said it's too much. They now went back and did 1 billion.
He still cut it down.
That is 1,000 million. No. For 37 people who may not have more than 7 sittings. In fact, 7 sittings will be too much to discuss minimum wage.
Yeah, but the
in
truth
Nigeria.
is, as you rightly said,
Yes.
they would need to do some surveys. They would need to make some travels. They would need to have some consultations and whatnot. So it might go beyond 7 sittings.
That is why, well, I'm a strategist, and there's somebody, I've forgotten his name now, who has even offered to say that a committee was never even needed in the first place. Why? Because there is a yardstick you can use to calculate and to discover that you are going to pay the latest minimum wage is going to be between 100,000 and 150,000.
Well, I think what TUC was proposing was 200,000.
Yeah, they consider that. But from that man, I remember his name. He's been on for some time now, very brilliant human being. That using this yardstick, these calculations, that will be the range of the minimum wage. You're talking about minimum wage, not maximum wage. So if the minimum wage is between 100 and 150, that could sound very realistic. And more so, how many state governors will be able to pay? That's an issue for another day. So for me, that Mr. President's memo leaked, and nobody denied that, oh, that is a fake memo. It means they have owned up. 2, Mr. President was still not comfortable with 1 billion, but he approved and said start with, which
500.
means 1 billion has been approved, but start with 500 million. The simple way out of the mess being that how can anybody under this terrible austere measure and suffering Nigerians are going through make a budget of 1.8 billion in the first place
To discuss
minimum wage with maximum comfort.
Not national security.
No.
Minimum wage.
And then you cut down, and we were proud to say we have reduced it to 1 billion. Bring out the budget. Remember, in 2014, a confab of over 600 most eminent citizens in Nigeria was convened. One of the greatest achievements of the Jonathan administration, 2014 confab. Remember how much was spent?
How much?
7 billion. 7.
Well, that had a lot of persons.
No. Not just a lot of
Had
persons.
a longer time.
Without accountability, without being prudent, even far back then, I'm sure some persons who were not aware of how much was used must have thought they must have used 100 billion. Even with that 7 billion, I remember what the Secretary of Government said when he was asked, what about implementation? He said, who has time to read that voluminous document? I would take over 1 week to read. That was a job for the boys. Our grass cutter man, what's his name now?
Oh, Babachir
Babachir Lawal. He said he wouldn't have time to read that kind of document, very voluminous. It was a job for the boys. The Sultan, the Obong of Calabar, the Obong Ata of Akwa Ibom were the boys, 7 billion. How much did they go back with? It was one of the greatest serverless service ever offered in this country. If it was such a thing that is to be done now, we'll be budgeting 7 trillion.
Oh, really?
But going by this kind of thing we are seeing. So the leakage will be addressed when the budget, the breakdown of the 1 billion, not 500 million, no, because Mr. President does not want to be blamed for delay in that committee working. He had to approve with the caveat. Start with. I refuse to share it. In fact, I've never even shared it because I was embarrassed when I saw it. I said, maybe it's fake. I waited 24 hours passed, and they started owning it up and then complaining that there's a fit columnist and like one
There has always been fifth columnist in government.
a northern think tank said they had warned Mr. President about fit columnist. If we have a president that must succeed, who has experience in every realm of human service, it is President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. A pro-democracy activist, an activist, not be swagbe. You cannot be mumu activist. Frontline, right-hand man
In
to
the days of
MKO
Nadeko.
Abiola.
Yeah.
He was attacked and he ran away. You know what it means to stay alive, to fight? He lived to fight another day. He became a senator. He became a 2-term governor of Lagos State. The wife also became a senator. He became the national leader of opposition in Nigeria and became the national leader of an opposition party that's on seat, a ruling party. And finally, he's the president. He has, as vice president, a former
Governor.
He was a deputy governor.
Senator.
He became 2-term governor, became senator, and is the vice president. And he has, as number 3 man, a former commissioner, former 2-term governor, former minister.
Senator.
Oh, no, before minister.
Senator,
Senator, minister, Senate president.
Senate president.
Number 3 man. The next most powerful man may not even be the House of Reps man, but let's give him official status. Is number 4 man. He's been there in the National Assembly. He is there now as a speaker. He's not a new person. The next person, very powerful, is not even the Secretary to the Governor of Federation. Is the Chief of Staff. The Chief of Staff position is so powerful. And that is somebody who was a former, in fact, he's been in the National Assembly since God knows when and became a speaker. He is there. The SGF, former governor, former senator.
Minister.
Okay, and it's the SGF. So looking at that level,
he's surrounded
by people who have seen it all. And whosoever is a head of service now is at their mercy of everybody, because there's nobody who say this one is just Shishidi, Johnny just come, we'll teach him work. So if you have such people man offices, and then you have people working with them who are so dissatisfied, then you have some policies coming from there, which they themselves, like the vice president said the other day when dollar hit 1,500 to $1, you know, he likes yabbies. He said clowns, instead of bringing ideas, clowns were busy lampooning the administration about the fall of the Naira, that they should bring ideas. And he called the people who should bring ideas clowns. A lot is happening, which if we must be patriotic, we must answer the call of Mr. President, which he made to the universities that they should generate ideas and bring. It is time for citizens. Anyhow, you have to generate ideas. Anyhow, you have to assess information of what is going on and you bring it out, like what Kemi Olunloyo has said. She has challenged those who will come after her to come. Let revelations come and let us correct the mess. Outside of that, the profiles we have reeled out will be void, completely void, of no value to us if we don't have results. So, official secrecy oath is not enough to say we must maintain table manners, as they call it. You see corruption so monumental, you refuse to talk because you are
under citizen, there's an aspect of this conversation which we must look at.
Yeah.
As journalists, we are trained in as much as we want to break the news, we must not break the country. And as journalists, we are also trained to recognize the greater good. In as much as we want to do our jobs,
that's right,
we must recognize the greater good. The collective good of the country, the unity and peace is sacrosanct and non-negotiable. As we discuss this issue of classified documents, citizen, it's not everything that meets the eyes that the mouth must speak about.
Yeah.
If the peace of the country and the collective good of the country will be threatened, irrespective of what that classified document may hold, don't you think it is better kept so that the peace of the country is protected so that the greater good of the country is achieved than leaking these documents at the detriment of the collective good and national peace, unity, cohesion, you name it, of the country?
I tell you that we are where we are now at the precipice and looking for straws, looking for things to hold on to, trying to make the air solid to grab, because certain persons who had the aura of gods had made people who should speak up to be afraid to even speak up without even going to classified information, the things that we know. I want to challenge you with this, what I'm going to say. The things that are in public domain, if they were to be written, it will carry almost 5x. There are things that are very urgent or classified. You have symbols to identify them. You understand? But they are available to us. Classified things. And the injury we are suffering from them, those kind of things we see in document that has to do with amount, can never equate. They are not even classified. There are too many classified things in public domain. Citizens are not even using them up. So the challenge is not even the classified information. The challenge is making use, working with what is available. That's the reality. And you ask me, what are those classified things? You are aware that the greatest problem of Nigeria is corruption.
Of course.
And you are aware that those monies stolen and looted, that they have records, the crude oil stolen, the fuel subsidy scam, which Mr. President has declared was perpetrated by the elite of elites, which he does not want to be part of them. There are records. What other thing will be more classified than that? Have we impressed upon Mr. President that we want these persons probed? We want to recover these monies. You are aware that our citizens in diaspora, Nigerians, including people from Akwa Ibom State, they send money every day to their loved ones, to their dependents. Remittances. And they come in dollars, pounds, euros, Dutch marks. Are you aware that at some point, the banks will not give you the dollar that is sent to you? They'll convert it to Naira and keep it, which means that the banks have access to dollars which Nigeria is looking for.
There was something you and I recall one of those occasions, those sessions okay. I had with you on radio.
Okay.
And you told me of this very prominent member of the House of Reps, very vocal.
EJ Former.
I don't know if he's still active, who went to Brekete session
okay.
to speak about
okay.
one of the frauds,
stamp,
one of the corruption.
Stamp duties.
Stamp duty. Stamp duty.
Honorable Gazaure.
So that may be another classified information.
No,
especially the stamp duties, because I know he made a lot of noise about that. And that information has not been used yet.
You are the one adding it up for me now. Thank you. Classified because a committee was set up by Mr. President. And then a consultant who had access to that information, I just heard that recently, was made the chairman. He was given the job to do along the line. That thing was terminated. And by the time they had access to Mr. President, a committee was set up with the same man as chairman, with Gazaure as secretary. And people who may likely be the beneficiaries of that thing said, you cannot make this same man the chairman. So we don't recognize this committee. And because of how some people were playing around with the intelligence of our former president and with some of the things he wasn't aware of, the man never hid his inadequacies, give it to him. So, till tomorrow, Gazaure will still tell you the trillions and account numbers and monies in those accounts, and the banks are mentioned. It will be ungodly to see such corruption and keep quiet. So, I've said, information available in public already from even our leaders are so classified, they are not supposed to have been heard or known, but they are heard and known, but we are not using it. It's time to use these informations.
So listen, as we conclude this conversation, as we're talking about managing classified information, your part in short, especially on what can be managed, what should be managed, and what shouldn't be managed when we talk about classified informations.
First of all, we are in a state of emergency.
So nothing should be managed?
There are things will fly from any angle. The more you want to hide, the more.
Don't forget also,
yes,
in the spur of the moment, you have a lot of fakes. A lot of the informations, a lot of leaks that we've seen. Not every one of them has been genuine. You can confirm that.
It will be left to you to say which one came to public domain that was not genuine. I tell you sincerely, respect Nigerians. In fact, I've always said, the world should not judge Nigerian citizens by the quality of their leaders. We are too blessed, we are too gifted. Let the world not judge you and I because of the quality of our leaders. So, this is a state of emergency. If you know your hands are not clean, get ready, because any day the people will demand accountability, and like it or not, those documents will be in public domain. That is one, too. Because we need to salvage the country. I am not a party person. We must help governments at all levels with ideas that will help them to do the right thing, because already the classified informations which were supposed to have been hidden from public are available officially from our leaders, that they don't know what to do again. That is, there can be no more classified information than that. Helplessness. Remember yesterday, G.O., they call him Daddy G.O., Adeboye said, this is final. We have to pray.
Spiritual intervention.
Spiritual intervention. I tell you sincerely, I am against that. Why? The church leaders do not run their large congregations globally with prayers. Hands on. No matter the number of branches they have, no matter some fraudulent pastors they have in their midst, they know all of them and they know what to do with the next one. They get results. You set standard, you demand productivity, you get records, they don't sleep. Ask me, how many personal aides does Adeboye have? Some of them are professors. They are PA, SA on education, SA on this. Are you aware that one of the prominent churches, they don't take light in their camp? Yeah.
Citizen, let's conclude this
247 light.
We're totally out of time.
You need to speak to the matter. Address people. Desmond Tutu did not just call for prayers. He was categorical on what should be done to free South Africa. So it's not time for prayers. It's time to call a spade by its name to help our leaders, some who came to power without preparation. Because we are 9 months now from state to federal.
So invariably, as you conclude that, you will be submitting that at this juncture, no information should be hidden.
We are in a state of emergency.
Whether it's in the public domain or
need
not,
all
whether it's classified, all information's on the table.
We need it now.
To salvage the situation.
Salvage situation.
All right. That is the submission of Citizen Matthew Kofi Okono, convener, Open Forum Care for Humanity Foundation. Thank you so much, Citizen.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure having you discuss this matter.
My pleasure always.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And for you, the viewer, thank you for giving us your time. I trust that you have benefited from this conversation. Let us know what can be classified. Let us know what information can be kept secret, and the category of information I will consider classified in a true sense of it. And let us know what information should be in public domain, at least for the national good, beyond the greater good. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Let's do it again tomorrow. My name is Ikechukwu Juwe. As usual, I'll leave with a prayer. God bless Nigeria, and a salute to you, the viewer. It's bye for now.
Let's talk security. current affairs, governance, politics, your view, elections, rule of law, economic issues, foreign events on the Talking Point. Talking Point, weekdays on this channel.